you ask a very good question about using a figure eight for rappelling on your two tie-in points. So we have this configuration set up right now, and we're just going to kind of cover a couple things right now. First off, kind of a safety concern is when you're in this configuration, you've got a load here, a load here, and a load here. So you're doing a tri-load, which can reduce the strength rating of a carabiner pretty drastically. Pretty much, carabiners are built to be loaded along the axis, as you know, and so with that, when you use a belay loop, you're just going to be loading along the spine, but here you have these two opposite loads depending on how your body's angling. Now, in a term of comfort now, if you notice, depending on how he positions his body, you'll notice that a lot of the load is on his leg loops and not really his waist belt. If you were suspended from your belay loop, that would capture these equally, and you would be using more of your waist belt, which is what the whole harness is meant for. Leg loops are just more for the comfort of sitting when you want most of the load on your waist belt, because that's where all of the important structural integrity is. One other thing too is you make a good point about how the benefit of installing your system on the two tie-in points is that it configures it so that the figure eight is set in a way so that it's very nice and angled the way that you want. However, it does create more of a right-handed or left-handed only situation. Yeah, you can pull that over for a left-handed one, but now you're crossing everything. If you're to use the belay loop, this would be rotated 90 degrees, coming straight down in between your legs, and therefore you could be more ambidextrous in case a hand gets injured or one gets tired. So we're going to switch over to now the belay loop, and we'll kind of see how things fit and operate a little bit more efficiently. All right, here we are configured with the belay loop. Couple things here. First, for the point of safety, is you've got one load direction on both ends, so two loads instead of three, so that is a lot safer. You've got now the orientation. We've got this turned 90 degrees to what you normally like, but that allows to just switch hands without having to twist the system at all. You notice that the system itself is not twisting as you go from hand to hand, and you can just keep it in between your legs. Some people like to stop their rappel against their hip, but the reality is with so much friction, you can just keep it in between your legs and go hand to hand and have no issue with that. In terms of comfort, as you notice here, like you're going to be hanging more equalized off of these 2 points instead of just all on your legs. And then one of the biggest things, which is a big safety concern for almost any type of equipment, especially with belay devices, is you need the system to freely operate. You don't want to be impeding it from rotating or spinning. And so here, this carabiner, if you were to unload your system like on a ledge or something, this carabiner, might move, but they're designed to, for the most part, correct themselves. And if you have it in these 2 points, it's always going to be fixed in that one spot. And so if there is any unloading of the system and the device gets down on the gate, it'll just stay there. When this system, you can kind of jostle it around and it'll correct itself for the most part. But you always need to keep an eye on it. So the freedom of movement is a big key component of this configuration. That's why a lot of people, whether it's with an ATC or a figure eight, they like to extend their system so that it's up by their face for comfort, for the ability to monitor it and all that kind of stuff. So having it down here, you're belaying like right off your hip. Having it off the belay loop, you're now belaying off of your chest. And if you were to extend it with a runner, you'd be belaying off of your face almost in terms of where that system sits. So there's a lot of advantages to using the belay device for what it's correctly used for. So if you're clipping into both tie-in points with your figure eight just for the sake that it's oriented in one way, that's your choice, but you're going to be limiting yourself on many benefits of using the setup like this, especially for the ability to use left hand and right hand without twisting the system in a much unnecessary way.